Hello everyone, are you able to hear me? Hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
Is my voice loud enough? Okay, thank you. So just let's wait for 5 more minutes and we will get started. Okay, so let's get started. So let me know in case you have some problem with the audio. So let's get started. So thank you everyone for joining the session. It is session 4 and we will be discussing conditional rendering and then rendering list in Lightning Web Component. I have taken some interesting examples, so hopefully you will enjoy the session. So let's get started. So if you like the work I am doing, then please do subscribe to my channel. It's a good motivation for me. So first of all, we will go through the conditional rendering in Lightning Web Component. So the agenda is that we will be understanding that what is conditional rendering, and then we will be trying to understand the code line by line. So let's go ahead. So what is conditional rendering first of all? So basically, if you want to hide some of the components from HTML and show based on a particular condition, then that is conditional rendering. For example, if it is raining, then don't go out. Or if it is not raining, then go out. So like this, there's a condition and based on that, we are performing some kind of action. So that is conditional rendering. One of the very famous example in the JavaScript is that turning off and turning on the light. So we will be clicking on the button. So the image will be changing and turning off image will be coming. And on the turning on, the bulb will be changing and turning on bulb image will be coming. So like that we can apply the conditions and on that basis we can take an action and that is conditional rendering. So now how we can achieve conditional rendering? So if we talk about Aura, in Aura we use Aura if, and when we come to Apex we use if else. So just let's see how we do it. So when we are talking about Apex, we simply use if and we use else. The same way when we are talking about LWC, then we are using template if true and template if else. That's what we have to remember. Now we will be taking a very interesting example that if it is corona, then wear mask and this should appear. This image should come. And how we go ahead with it? Firstly, we will be designing the component and then based on that, we will be applying our logic. So let's do the coding. So I will be creating a lightning web component. Name it anything you want to, and it will always be from the small letters. So it is created a lightning web component from with us with a JS, HTML, and meta file, which is mandatory files. So now, once it has created, let's understand the code that how we will start it. So firstly, we'll be starting with lightning card. Again, if you want to see that how we go by it, the first basic thing is that you go to the component library and you can go to the component reference, and like I said about the lightning card, so you can see every component which you want to see, and like this it will be coming here. So these are the examples of the lightning card which you can see and you can apply accordingly. So it comes here and then you can also go and see in the playground which we have discussed earlier. So from here we are taking lightning card. So this kind of box will come. So that's why we are taking lightning card. So you can choose another thing if you want to, another component. And let's give it some title. Guys, if you have any question, please keep on asking in the chat, and I will try to answer at the end of the session. And meanwhile, also we'll be answering it. So please ask for any doubt. Now we want to put an icon name. So if you go back to the PPT, we had the icon name icon coming here. So let's understand how that comes. So these are the basic icons which you can apply, and you can take, see there are standard icons, then there are utility icons. So like that you can choose the icons which you want to choose. So see this icon name and then you can choose the icon. So you got an idea. Now let's see in the design system, we will be getting some more clarity. Some interesting fact is that how you choose basically. So see there are 5 types of icons. So you can choose the name and then whichever icon you want to. For example, you want to have that apex. So what you will write action and then apex. Similarly, if you want to have icon from custom, so you simply say custom and for example this, then custom 3. So like that you choose. So for example, I want to choose one of the icons, say custom 14. So let's see. It will automatically close the tab for us and then we can create a new class. So this what I have written SLDS. SLDS is Lightning Design System, which we just saw. So basically the it has having its own inbuilt styling which you can use. So that's why SLDS is coming. So it is will be doing M brown medium. So like that you can do the styling. You can do your own custom styling or SLDS is having its own styling which you can just choose by taking the class name. Now what we needed to do is we needed to create an input. So let's create that. Again, everything which I am taking from here, you can check from the component reference and keep on adding which you want to have. Now my label is it is Corona, and then on the change of it, I want to do something which we will be understanding later. So we can create a button on that. So that we will understand later. Let's create it here, and we are not putting any logic right now. And we want to put an image. So we will be using image SRC. So simple code snippet. Let's take an image. So right now I'm running in my local environment, so I can simply put it as this. And when you are talking about pushing it, then you can do add it in the static resource and then pull it from there. So for now, I'm just putting image here and let's see how it looks. So so this is my local environment. Let me go back. So how I open the local environment? Let's refresh. You are already connected to your Scratch org by doing SFTX. Firstly, you authorize a dev hub, then you create a default Scratch org. So you are already connected. So once you are already connected, you just need to do start a local development server. Once you do the start local development server, then you can easily do the testing of the code that how it looks, and then you can push the code. So then it will be much easier for you because every time you push it takes time, but when you do in the local development server it's much easier. So you can start from there. So now let's go back. So see, we are seeing conditional rendering. So it's nothing but the kebab case it is coming. Whenever it is in kebab case, it comes like C dash conditional dash rendering. So like that it is coming. Though we wrote it like conditional rendering, but it will be coming like this. So these are the small things which we can notice. So this, if it is corona, then wear mask. But right now, nothing is happening. There's no change. It's not working. No logic is there. So how we do that? So before that, I think we need to make some changes, as in the image. If you see it's too big, or if we want to make some kind of change in the input, we can just keep on. Sorry, in the styling, we can do some changes if you want to. So for that, I will be creating a CSS. It's not a mandatory file, but if you want to style, then you can create it. And it should be with the same name. So here the name is conditional rendering, you put the same name. Now you put the same name, and for example, you want to fix the image size. So you say width 300 px and save it. See, the image has changed, and like that you can do more changes. How you do that? Simply click on inspect, and once you go to inspect, just click the select an element in the page to inspect whatever you want to inspect. Just go there and see, you will be getting image. So you have already fixed it. For example, you are also considering height. So just try it. Say it's like 300 px. Yes. So you will be seeing, and you can make changes accordingly. And then whatever you like, then you go ahead and put that in CSS. As simple as that. Now, for instance, I want to change the color of paragraph. This one is paragraph, we got to know. Now I just want to change. So what I will do, I will be putting P, and for example, I want to put background color or something. We will be simply putting it and it will show there. So for example, I want to choose a color and I save it. So now like that you can keep on modifying. So now I have set the image in P. One thing to notice is that when we are writing class name, then we have to do dot. For example, if I used P class equal to something, then I had to use dot. But when we are directly using the element, then we can write it like this. For example, if I wanted to create a class equal to some name, then that time any name which we want to, so we have to put p dot name in the CSS. But when we are directly using the element, then we are just putting p. What it will do, whenever we are writing paragraph, that point of time it will be putting background color as constant. So no matter you want to put paragraph 3 times 5 times, it will be doing that. If you create a class for that particular paragraph, then it will be just doing for this one. So that is little bit about styling. And then there is one more thing which we can do, that is the inline CSS. So if you want, you can put the styling here itself. So for instance, I want to do an inline style, and I want to put text align center. And I just quickly save it. So like that, our element is being done. So if you do see it, we have already designed our component the way we want it to design. Now second is that on the basis of checkbox element, we should display that what should appear. So basically, when something happens in the lightning and input, that point of time, please show this. That's what we want to do. So how we do that? We say that on change, whenever we are changing, at that point of time, okay, maybe it's not coming because, okay, let's see. So now we will work on our JavaScript. So here is our JavaScript. The first thing which we want to understand is that we can give any name we want to. If you see generally what happens, it is coming as the same name, the name of the class. But even if you put it as app and then put the entire logic, then also it will run perfectly. So you don't have to put the same name. The best practice would be to put the same name, but it is not mandatory. So you can change any name you want to. Now going back here, the first thing which we want to do is we want to create a template. And now we will be using if true. So if it is true, then do something. So this is what we need to use. Now what is true? So we will be going to the JavaScript and putting our logic where we say that if now here we will say, for example, we have created a property and we have set it as false. That is initially don't show. Now when to show? So we have to show it when template is true. So we put this template if true and we put our code. And then we will be closing our template. Okay, let's see. So it doesn't have a closing tag. We have created a lightning. We have given a template and we have given a lightning card. Okay, let me check what is happening. So we will go back. Okay, so let's write our logic and then we will be finding the bug, why it's coming like that. So now we say that on change do something. So we say that on handle change do something. So this is handle change. So we will be going here and here what we will be saying is now what we want, that when this click then do something. So if we go to input, one thing which I want to show you here is if we go to the specification of a particular, like I went to input and I went to specification, see if present the checkbox is selected. So from here we got to know that we have to choose checked here. So if it is checked, so what I will do is I will put event and then I will say I will take the property name and then I need to use this dot are details visible. So because whenever we are putting inside the class then we have to use this, otherwise the code will throw the error. So use this and then use event dot target and dot checked. So basically what will happen, we understand that this is like if property is inside the class then we have to use this. Basically it specifies the current context, then we are using the property name. Now we say event dot target. So event dot target targets element which where the change is fired. So it will show the input reference. So like that we'll be doing. And then to see that if it is working or not, the good practice is put the console log and right now I will not put this and we will be seeing that time what will happen. Now let's go back to the code. So what we have done here is that on the click of handle change, initially our details visible is set to false, which we saw here. Now on this click of this event, it should display as true. That's what we are trying to do. So now this is our logic. Now let's see. There might be some error. Let's see. So it gives us the error which we are putting. So we can go back and figure it out. So for now we will just remove the styling. Let's see. I'm missing something. So there is some syntax error which we are making. So for now I just remove the div itself. Let's see if this solves. I think there was some syntax error here. Now I think it's saving. So let's see. Now let's see. So we have put the handle change name. Okay, this there. So we had put it here. Now this time. So now if it is corona, then wear the mask. So like that our code is coming. So if we go back, so it's simple that you go to the HTML, you put the on change element, and then earlier make it false, and then true on the basis of some condition. And then when you are going here you are making it true. So what you want to see here is, let's go to inspect element and see what is happening. So let's refresh, and we need to go to console. So I click here. So see, uncaught reference error is coming. It is not defined. Now why it is not defined? Because we have not put this here. So what we need to do? We need to put this dot our details visible. Now let's save it and now run it. And you can see it's local development, so it's going too fast. So see, now it is coming as true. There was no space here. So now it will be coming as true. So earlier it is false on the basis of checkbox. It is coming as true. So that is our first example. The second example is more interesting. So here, once we click on Timon, then the Timon will be coming, and when we are clicking on Pumbaa, then Pumbaa is coming. So just to make it fast for you, I have put the code and we will be understanding it because we have just understand the base. So again, I'm here what I'm doing. Let me open that. Okay, so now the second example we are doing. First of all, if you want to divide the screen, you can split it like this, and you can open, for example, you want to open JS, so like that you can open. So you can see both of them together. So it's easier to look at it. So now what is happening? Now firstly design your element. So you're simply creating div, and inside that you're creating a template where you say that if true, if something is true, whatever is true, then do this. And if this is true, then do this. So that is kind of logic we are applying. So now let's see in JavaScript. So in JavaScript, we have created a property istemon, and we are setting it as false initially. So we are saying that if it is true, then do this. But initially it is false, means initially nothing will be shown. Now we say if it is true, and then we say if Pumbaa is false, so initially it is false, and then we are making it as true. And then we are simply, when it is true, we are putting an image and fixing it height and width. The same goes with here. And then we are creating a button. So what we are doing is that initially it is false, but on the click of button do something. That is, on the click of button make it true. So I have put show Timon, and I told you that we use this dot is Pumbaa, and we make it as false. The reason being we want to show Timon. and we set Timon as true. So when this button is clicked, show Timon becomes true. And when this button is clicked, then Pumbaa becomes true. So like that, firstly we do the designing and then we write the JavaScript and see how it works. So if I go back to our local development, so see, initially nothing is coming because we set initially both of them as false. These are the properties. And when we are putting in HTML, we call it as attribute. So initially we set it as false. Then we have put two buttons. So these are the two buttons. Now on the basis of button, do something. So on the basis of this, make it true. So Shotoman, this is true, and Shupumba, then this is true. And if you want to see inspect what is happening, see if I have put the console. So again, you can go here, put the console log and see if the value is getting changed or not. So, and how you will be putting? You should put this dot Pumba, this dot Timon and see how it is working. So that's how your conditional rendering works. So we have done two examples on conditional rendering. One is on a simple checkbox, an image is appearing, and second is that on the basis of an input button, two different set of images are coming. So now your homework on this is that go ahead and do that for the bulb on and bulb off and see how it looks. Now we are coming to the rendering list in Lightning Web Component. So here we have to understand that what is loop, for each and iterator directives, and then advantages of iterator, and we will be trying to understand the code line by line. So let's understand that what is loop. So basically loops allow us to do a task over and over again. So if you see here, it's a simple Apex code. Here we have want to print the list of string. So there is gym, CrossFit, yoga, and then we want to iterate over them and keep on printing them. So here what will happen? Here in the F we are saving and we are putting it as system.debug we have plus F. So firstly gym will come, then CrossFit will come, and then yoga will come. The same way the looping works in Lightning Web Component. So now if we want to iterate over multiple items in LWC, so that time we can use two directives. One is for each, or we can use iterator, either one of them, but they have their own advantages which we will be talking after that why they have given us two iterators to work on. But this can be an interview question, that difference between for each and iterator. And then there is a key. So key attribute, what does it do? So whenever we use for each or iterator, then we have to use the key directive. So basically it's a unique ID for each element. So that is what is the understanding for the key. So for example, when a list changes, the framework uses the key to re-render only the item that is changed. So basically we use it for performance optimization. So with the help of key, we can directly get the element instead of looping it all over again and searching it. So that is the help of key. So don't get confused. We will be doing it with the help of the code. So I will be just creating a Lightning Web component. and we choose the location. So our Lightning web component is created. Now we are in the JavaScript. This time we will actually change the name and see what happens. So I'm just putting and changing the name. Now if I want to show the list of CEO, so I'll be doing CEO list. So what is this? This is a property, and we want to create an array to hold the information about different CEOs. So let me just quickly create. So what I have done is I have created a list of CEO, and that's what we want to see in our local development. So for that we will be writing the HTML. So let's start doing that. So I will be starting with the lightning card. This is one of the most used component, and we'll just give the title. We just saw that how this comes. So now we are wanting to use for each directive. So we will be using for each directive, and here we will be giving the name. This is the property name which we want to put. So we want CO list. Now we will be putting the braces, and inside that we will be putting CO list, and then we will be saying for item, and then we will be putting. Now for item can have any name, and if you see, bind the current iteration item to an identifier. Here we can put any name we want to put. So that's how it works. Now inside that we need to put, so let me create a UL class just for designing. So I'm doing it for the SLDS design. And then here you put the key. Now key identifies the unique element. Here you will be putting the CEO which you used here, and then you put the ID. ID is, so basically it will directly find it instead of iterating and searching for it. And if there is any change, then it will show. So that's why we do it. now once we have done this, now we want to print something, right? We want to show something. So now let's display. So how we will be displaying? We'll be doing CO ID and I want to put name. So if I'm putting as small, it won't come because see this is coming as capital. So we have to use that only. So I will be using that, and then I will be putting CEO company. Again we can use NBSP for space. Now let's see. Let's print it and see what is the error coming. So here it's so it will show us the error which is coming. So there's some inspected token. Yeah, I know it's on line 7, but I'm not exactly getting. Let me try this. Let's see what happens. I'll just simply save it. So now our error is gone. Now let's see how the data will be coming. So now our data is not coming. So let's see this. This should be capital. Let's see what happens now. Okay. So we have your CEO list here. This is CEO list, and we are having the CEO ID, and then we are putting it like this. Let's go back. So see, where we are putting the CEO ID, and then we are using the CEO name, and we are using the CEO company. So let's see. So that's how we are putting the iteration for this. Now we will be also putting for next one, and then we will be printing it. So let's go iterator. So what happens in iterator is there's properties of iterator. So if the value of item is in the list, so then the value is coming. Then there is an index. Index defines the index of item in the list, and then there is first. So the boolean indicating the first item in the collection, and last indicates the last item in the collection. So this is how it comes. So let's go there and see. So if we have to understand the iteration, the first thing which we have to understand is the syntax for it. So the syntax for it is we have to use the decorator iteration, and then we have to use the attribute name, and then we do list of records we want to have, and then again we do the attribute name dot value, and whatever name we want to have. For example, here we want to have name, so we can put name. If you want to have company, we can have company. So it works the same way, the way that works for Apex. So in Apex, what happens is we put, for example, account, ACC, and accounts, and then we iterate. So the same way we are putting the logic here. So let's see how iteration works. So I will just simply copy this and make changes in this itself. So I'll create another card, and here I will just change it for Iterator. And here, like we say that the key is the unique element, so we'll be defining that. But here we will be putting the value also. So we have to put key co dot value dot id, and then we say, now here the advantage is that iterator is having the advantage that we can have the first and last element. So that we can do using the iterator. So here what we can do is we can simply say div, and we say if true, so it says that to check if this is my first element, and then in the class we say list dot first. So we give the class name, and then we put the div. And the same way we can put the last one. So we can say div, and we can simply copy this line. And here we have to put, earlier we were not using value, right? Here we need to put the value. So what it does is it helps in identifying the first and the last element. So let me see. Just a minute. Yeah. So it helps us to find if there is first and last element. Now there is no syntax error, so let's save it and let's go back to the local environment and see what is happening. So let's see. We're changing the name for now. So that is not the logic. So that's how we are able to see our code, CEO the last and CEO the company, and then this is how we see. Let's see if we have extra dot. So there is some extra dot in the item at 20th line. So keeping the time constraint in mind, we will be moving ahead for now. But if I go back to our chapter, so in this one, rendering list in Lightning Web Component, we are able to see by this code. So here we use CO list, and let me just quickly copy this to see what is happening. Okay. So keeping the time constraint in mind, we will be moving ahead. So iterator will be coming like this, and the benefit of using the first and the last element which comes in iteration is that we will be able to use and see this one. So basically what is happening once we are going in the rendering dot, so we will be creating a CSS class, and in that we can get list dot first and list dot change. So how we will do that we will be seeing. Okay, so let me just quickly show you. I'll be creating the CSS. So now because we are having the class name, right, so we can make the changes, and this can happen using the iteration but not with that one. So we'll be just going here, we'll be putting list first. That's a class, so we need to put dot, and then we can put the padding here. So we will be simply putting the padding. So we will be saying that, example, border bottom 1px solid black. Like that we can make the changes, and for example background color blue. So if you go back and see in the rendering list here, in the last element and the first element, we are able to see list dot last. So when we are putting list dot first and list dot last, that point of time we are able to make the changes in the color, and we can do that. So once we do that, we will be able to see something like this output. And let's see, I'll simply remove and see what happens. So if you want to do the comment, you do comment like this, and save it, and like that you can comment some line of code, and you can see whatever you want to see. So like that you will save and run in the local development environment, and you can see your changes which you want to present. So that's how the iterator example works. Let's move ahead. So you try to have your for each directive demo, and try to put the names and then see that how the color changes. So now we can simply see a calculator in Lightning Web Component. So this is some calculator which you can create at your free time and see that how it is coming, and then we can discuss the code on that. So that's our simple calculator we can create, and we can discuss that in our next session. So thank you so much for joining. So now if you have any questions, so we can discuss. So the question is that in real-time development, we always need to use scratch org. Cannot I use non-scratch org because of the project? So you can use the scratch org and it is for 1 to 30 days, and non-scratch org you can also use it. So depending on the use case you can try using it. Basically you can also do the local development which I showed and then push the code. And when I use local server development environment, we can use it to do the testing and deployment. I don't see any other changes. So basically, once we are using for each, so when we have seen the code that we can use for each for iteration purpose, and we can make the changes for the for each. So whenever we want to know that name, and then we put the name. So like that, we are using the for each and run the element. So that's it for today's session, and thank you so much for joining, and all the code will be given in my blog itself, so you can go ahead and go to the chapter 13 and chapter 14 and read all of them.